Hi, hello. So this video is going to be a third time's a charm moment, and I apologize because my mic, I didn't realize it was not recording the whole 17 minutes I was talking. So we are gonna try this again. So basically, so I alluded last video. Oh, one, if you want to see the characters I drew in the pinned comment. But for the and I apologize for this being late. I did not manage my time properly, and that's my fault. But for this video, I said in my last video I had a story I wanted to tell, but this wasn't the last video wasn't the video to do it. And so now I'm going to tell that story. So this story starts kind of like, we'll say a prelude of it. The story is that it starts when it starts when I first got my job last July at the grocery store. I was a bagger for a little bit. I became a cashier. I got demoted due to clerical errors because of a quick change scheme, whatever. And then I was trying to keep my cashier pay, so I went to every other department to beg, and produce lied to me. So screw produce. Also, no, I'm not going into that. That's a little too in-depth of what my company is if I complain about that much of produce. But produce sucks. And then I went to the deli, because I saw an online thing that they were looking for somebody, and I begged, and I begged, and I begged, and I begged, and I begged. Or I didn't beg and beg, but I went to the curbside people, the produce people, and then I went to the deli people, and I begged, and I went, hey, I'm looking to transfer. I would like to keep, my pay and stuff. And I was like, I like deli meat, I like cheese, hire me, like the normal, like, begging you do when you want a job. And like the normal, like, I guess BS you do, trying to hype yourself up. And my department boss was like, if you like cheese, actually, someone's gonna transfer out of the department real soon. We'll put you there. And I said, okay, sure. So that's exactly what I did. I went to the department, and for the first 3 weeks, everything was more normal. My cheese boss, as we'll call her, was pretty normal. I worked, like, I opened, so basically I had like I had 3 like almost 40-hour weeks, where I was just shadowing her and she was teaching me things. And then after that, I was on my own. Then, after a while, I would end up staying. Some days I'd end up staying later, because I couldn't finish the list I was given. Because we would make like a stupid amount of cheese boards. Anyway, and I was staying behind, and she didn't like that. Obviously, I didn't love it either. But if I show up 10 minutes late and I leave 10 minutes late, I'm still working my whole shift. So it's not, I don't, whatever. My new boss doesn't even complain about that. So we'll just start with that. And she started slowly kind of icing me out. And then she would give me weird shifts. She would schedule me for a full shift and only give me 2 things to do in hopes, I guess, I'd leave early and only take like 2 hours of my pay. The cheat shop, is right near where they make it's kind of near where they make the rotisserie chickens, and it's not in a freezer. So I would wear a t-shirt. And the production, which are like the people who are like the people who made the, like the sandwiches and stuff, they'd work in a back freezer. And I would come in and she'd be like, oh yeah, you're working in production, when I only brought a t-shirt to work. Basically hoping I'd freeze my ass off my entire shift. And trying to ice me out. She wouldn't talk to me. She wouldn't tell me things about the department. She'd refuse. We got new, like, 4-packs of something, or like we had a new thing we had to learn, and she refused to teach it to me and just did it, and never, like, if there was needed to be refills, I didn't know how to do it. And like stuff like that, until one day I was doing a cheese sample 4-pack, and she just kind of blew up. Because apparently, so she also complained about the person of my other coworker, about him not being neat enough, him not being, like, sometimes he just doesn't do what she thinks needs to be done that day. Which, when that shop closes, is 6, but the store stays open, which means holes can happen all the way up between 6 and closing. And there's nothing you can do about it because no one's there. So sometimes you're just gonna come into work and there's gonna be holes. I'm sorry. That's just how it works when you work at a busy store. And she was complaining about him, how he didn't do enough, and how behind she is because she has to do all the stuff that was supposed to be done yesterday. And I was doing these 4-packs, and she was, like, full on, like, she came up to me and basically repeated how, like, I was slow over and over again, and, like, did it for me, and was like, I can't handle how slow you are, and and then she went off and disappeared, kind of, but went over to another coworker who was also in the deli and, like, whispered in their ear, like, something like, if Neo, can't handle this position, they're gonna get put back in service, because the big boss doesn't want Mia in the department, or in the other department, even though arguably cheese is a lot harder than the counter, because you have to keep track of a lot of more things, and you have to put together a lot more things instead of it just being like, if you're at the counter, you have to make sandwiches, like party tray sandwiches, and you have to cut meat for people, and you just have to keep an eye on, like, those two things, while if you're in cheese, you have to keep an eye on the charcuterie boards, the stupid cheese balls, all the cubes, all the cuts, and all of these things, so looking back, I don't get it, but I think she was just saying it loud enough for me to hear, because she was so mad at my other coworker. I guess she wanted me to know that her hatred of me was extremely apparent. And I didn't realize it, because I was like, oh, maybe she's having a bad day, and I went up after she left, for the day, and I was just closing, and when I went up to another coworker and asked, hey, has she been talking, like, smack about me since, like, how long? Like, is this normal, or is she just having a bad day? And he said, oh no, she does that to everybody, but you especially right now. She hates you. She's been trying to get you fired or to get you to quit. And looking back, all of those tactics are normal tactics to try to make someone quit, but I was too oblivious to see it, and I was horrified. And I was mad because, I've been trying my best to learn everything, and no, I didn't learn everything quickly, because like I said, it's a lot of stuff, and if you've never worked in food prep before, it's like whiplash, and I didn't think I deserved that, and also calling someone who has learning disabilities slow to their face and slow to everyone else is, I don't care in what context, it feels extremely ableist. Especially since I was trying my best. I know she didn't mean it. I mean, maybe she did mean it in mentally slow, because she hated me, but it still hurt my feelings regardless. It kind of, like, triggered some, like, grade school bullying. And so I did that, she did that, and then I just kind of, like, mentally was checked out of work. I knew she wanted to transfer to the less busy store, and I say that in quotations because I know where that store is. It's where I used to bathe dogs, and yes, it's less busy over there, but also you're trading your clientele. So basically, it's in an old rich neighborhood area. So instead of having like a lot of normal people who are like, middle class, you are going to be dealing with the worst, snobbiest group of people of your entire life. And a couple of normal people. But she was also one. She also technically didn't need to work or be a manager. She just wanted to work because she couldn't stand being at home with her kids, even though her husband makes enough money for her to not work. And it's pretty obvious that she doesn't work very well because she constantly is gossiping about people and starting things, and that she needs to not work because she needs to like figure out why she needs to like hurt other people, but that's not my call. That's just what I think. And so she continued doing this, and I like checked out of work mentally completely. I was debating quitting. I was debating reporting her to HR. And then she left. The last text she ever sent me was that I was gonna get fired for some like labeling error I did, and I did get written up for it because I screwed up. I accidentally added an extra day to something because I thought I counted days wrong. But like, I guess that's telling that like she would say that to me after doing all of that and trying to get me like to either quit or go back to service, because I guess she thought that that's where I deserved to be for being slow and stupid. And then I got a new boss who is actually nice to me, and which this is crazy, but once I was starting to get normal amounts of work, my speed really picked up. I was able to do a lot more. And when my big boss saw this, they were like, "Oh, wow, Mia, you're actually, your speed's improving." And I was like, "Yeah, because I don't have to stretch my hours because I'm getting an actual list. I actually have to be quick about things." It was crazy because, like, that's not, it's, I guess. And even now, like, she didn't trust anyone to do the cheese cuts. And what's even more funny is she was on such her high and mighty, better than everyone else pedestal. But the way she had the department, like the facing and stuff, wasn't even up to corporate standards. Like, my new boss came in and went, "Yeah, this place is not up to corporate standards at all. This is really bad." Wow, so somebody, Miss High and Mighty, it turns out, wasn't even following the standards of the damn job of, like, where cheese should go, how it should be faced, and all this other stuff. She was just doing what she thought was best because she had to be the princess of everything. And this is a pro tip for anybody. If your boss is someone who is your boss and they don't have to work because, like, their partner pays for everything, or their dad, or their mom, run. That's not going to be a good manager. For some reason they're somehow in a managerial position when they shouldn't be. And this has happened to me at 2 different jobs. And one at the dog grooming job where my arm went completely numb, and this boss that did not need to work basically said, "It's okay, you can use your other arm." So don't if you ever have a manager that does not need to work, run, or be wary, because they're not going to be a good manager. Another thing is, if you are a female assigned birth person and you're not, like, transitioned enough to be considered like a man, or you're in the closet in public like me, middle-aged women are going to hate you for no reason. I don't know why or how. Maybe they see your youth and happiness and decide that because they married somebody miserable or they had kids too early or something like that they need to ruin your life. But they will, and it's horrible. So be wary of that if you're starting to get a job. I know a lot of you guys are younger, so this is going to be advice that you're going to take later, like in a few years, or if you're about to, you're like 16 or whatever your working age, wherever you are, and you're about to get a job. Be wary of that, especially if you're skinny. and like a conventionally like attractive, they will like prey on you, shit on you. And even if you're conventionally unattractive, they'll find a way to shit on you because you're not the standard, but they don't like it when you're the standard either because they're jealous, or that's how I took it. And I didn't realize this was a phenomenon like that was super, super common until this happened to me. Technically twice. I don't count this really because it was an internship, but it did happen to me twice at an internship in high school. Once at an internship in high school and once now. So I would just keep your like just keep, like I said, keep your like keep your wits about you. If your boss starts icing you out for no good reason, that's when, if it's a lead, you can go above their head. Especially if you're not doing anything wrong at your job. Like I wasn't really doing anything wrong at my job, it just took me longer to learn the labels. And I have a learning disability, so if they fired me for having a learning disability, it would be a PR, HR nightmare. Because I'm petty. I will find a way to sue you. Even though I have no money. I'll just get my mom angry and then she'll just like explode and then there won't be any money anymore because she exploded and the whole world is over. But like that's yeah. And also too, if you do have any learning or physical disabilities, like it sounds scary, but once you get hired, they can't fire you. And they can't fire you for that because that's against federal law. So you can tell, like, you don't have to tell them while they're interviewing, like, that you're autistic or you have ADHD or you have dyslexia. Don't say that during the interview, obviously. But once you get the job, you can say, hey, I have, like, dyslexia, I have ADHD, I need accommodations, and, like, have, like, some sort of, like, written accommodations from a doctor. Because then legally, they cannot deny you those. And if they try to, you can just say the word lawyer, and normally it scares them, most of them, to, you know, not do that. But overall, I guess that's a warning. My job is a lot more nice and stable now. I work consistently. It's a normal work. I work in production, but I'm told ahead of time, like, hey, they need help, like, making stuff, and you know how to make the stuff. So, you know, make sure you bring a jacket, and they'll put it on the schedule that instead of working in the cheese shop, I'll be working in production. You know, instead of icing me out, literally. But yeah, that's really all I have for my story. That's why I didn't have enough art to talk under. I had a genuinely good time drawing all of these guys. They're not as high effort as I would have wanted because I've been having art block and like an art style crisis. That's kind of why, or it's like a rendering crisis because I know how I want my proportions to be, but I don't know how I want my like rendering to be. And so every art piece looks slightly different and is slightly, yeah. And so for this one I decided to do a sketch, and I actually really like the way this sketch looks, so I'm thinking I'm gonna try to make an art style where it's more refined off of like what this sketch looks like, because I love the way Painterly looks. I just can never make it look right, except for when I was like rendering over black, but that was a lot of time and energy, and I'd rather like something that looks like this, and especially with the more like shapiness of it. I love it. It's so cute. But yeah, I will leave you with that, and I will leave you with beware. If you are young and you are working in retail or fast food, of your bosses, especially if they are middle-aged. Which sounds terrible, but a lot of them their lives did not go the way they wanted it to, which is why they're still in retail, and they will take it out on you because you still have a future. Well, they also have a future, but they don't want to think of it like that. That makes sense. But some people are normal. Like, it like some people are perfectly normal or they want to be their job, but some people are cruel and terrible. So just be aware of that. And I want to say this, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye bye.